Afternoon. Bill Kim here, pastor of the Presbyterian and Congregational Churches here in Clarion. And as always, my friend Mr. Bond behind the camera. Thank you, Ted, for being here. Real quick, let me share with you, maybe not real quick, but let me share with you our plans for worship with the Congregational and the Presbyterian churches. We had discussions. The deacons are in charge of the worship service up at the Congregational Church, and the session is in charge of the worship service here at the Presbyterian Church. So here are some steps, some ideas, some plans right now. I do want to preface this by saying that plans might change should the outbreak of new cases become large enough that it alarms us or concerns us. And no, we don't have a specific number. We do know that there are continuing to be some cases diagnosed here in our county, and we are concerned about that. But we do, as of yesterday, we felt comfortable enough to begin to plan an outdoor kind of worship experience. Should the new cases continue to grow, and we don't feel comfortable, even at the last minute, we might change our minds. But this is our current plan. So, with that caveat, our current plan is to worship at the Gazebo Park beginning the morning of 14 June. We'll worship at 9:30. We'll be asking people to bring their own chairs or to remain in their car. We're working on the sound system issue. And our goal is maybe to have an FM transmitter, a low power FM transmitter, so we can transmit to your car radio, as well as some other kind of sound projection option. So that's our goal. We'll be asking everyone who attends to wear a mask, and we'll have some disposable masks available if you need those. As long as you can bring your own and have your own, then that'll save us the money and the need of using our own disposable ones that we will have available. So please consider that. We're probably not going to have any congregational singing. That's the plan right now. We're debating about if we'll have special music or not. That is yet to be seen. We have two ideas about the bulletins. One that we'll email them out a day or so ahead of time, so you can bring your phone and read from your bulletin right there in your hand. Or for those who need it, we may have a few paper copies available to pass out or for you to come and get. We will that morning be doing some responsive readings, we think, maybe the Lord's Prayer, probably the Apostles' Creed. So if you need that bulletin, make sure you stay connected with that. We are going to have communion that morning, and we're asking everyone to bring their own communion rather than risk the possibility of spreading germs or infecting somebody else. If everybody who comes will bring their own bread and their own cup to share with their family or with themselves, that would be great. We know that's kind of different, but that also could be fun. We are encouraging everybody to continue to follow the guidelines set down by the Iowa Department of Public Health. They are saying that if you have a pre-existing condition, a health problem, it might not be a good idea for you to come out and mingle with groups. They are saying they're putting the number at 65. I know some of us feel offended when we think about 65 being the age, but be wary of that. Just if you're over 65, maybe you consider maybe not coming. We are not going to turn anybody away, and we're certainly not in charge of being your boss. Good Lord knows I can't make my own decisions, much less try to make yours. If you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like that you are ready for this, then don't come. If you're not feeling well health-wise, don't come. I've said a couple times, just to be clear, your salvation, your connection with God, your Christian life is not based on if you attend worship during the pandemic or not. It's fine if you want to give it a shot, and we welcome you. But if you don't want to give it a shot, that's also fine, and we certainly understand that. when we met with our two groups, the deacons up at the Congo Church and the session here at the Presbyterian Church, both those groups had some different opinions. There were people in those groups with different ideas. That's more than fine. Everybody should be respected and understood other people's slants. So anyway, we're not throwing stones or condemning anybody who decides whatever they decide about this. But this is our idea. And again, know that it might change. We'll stay in communication, but that's what we're working for right now. Here's what I'd like to say as a devotional thought. Deuteronomy 6:5. I'd like to read to you. I challenge you, or I would ask you, if you were here sitting with me, anybody know what Deuteronomy 6:5 says? Deuteronomy isn't normally the book we go to when we look for a wealth of information about how to live the Christian life. But listen to this. Moses is talking to the people. He says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates." That's where Jesus gets the quote when they ask him about the greatest commandments. And he says the first one is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Deuteronomy 6:4-9. And then you would probably know where I would go next, right? Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. That's the second of the greatest commandments that Jesus talks about. Moses again speaking to the people, and he says, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself." Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. That's what Jesus says is the second greatest commandment. And you know what he says in Matthew chapter 22, verses 34-40? He says those two commandments, and then he says, all the law and prophets hang on these two commandments. Maybe, just maybe, those are important, right? How about this? It's not all about me. Is that a devotional thought? It's not all about me. It's not all about my perspective. It's not all about my vision. It's not all about my angle. It's not all about my view. Certainly, I want to be healthy. Certainly, I have opinions. Certainly, I need to take care of myself. The Bible never says not to. But the scriptures are quite clear. These rights that we have, these lives that we live, a large consideration, a large piece of that is how I interact with other people, how I respect, how I care for, how I live with others. I certainly need to take care of myself. I would advocate that. Eat healthy, get plenty of sleep, exercise, wash your hands, don't touch your face, wear a mask. All those things take care of you. But those things also take care of others. When we talk about how we're responding to the pandemic, how we're responding to the COVID-19 virus, I hope that what is said of us as God's children is that, it wasn't all about them. It was about people with different views. It was about somebody else with a different take. It was about helping their neighbor be healthy as well as themselves remain healthy. It was about providing stuff for other people as well as providing stuff for themselves. So that's my thought for the week. It's not all about me. It's not all about my needs or my view or my slant. According to Jesus, loving God and loving my neighbor, those are said to be my two largest priorities, biggest priorities. Again, take care of yourself, but not just yourself. Thanks for listening.